guys, we have a new week of astrology to get into coming out of our new moon in Leo energy that happened on August 4th. As we start this week on August 5th, we've got quite a few things going on. We have shifting vibes, Venus leaving Leo, entering Virgo. We also have Mercury ruling the sign of Virgo, stationing retrograde in the sky. Of course, we all know what happens when Mercury goes retrograde, and it's going to be interesting to see the impacts of Mercury retrograde this time around because we have both Mars and Jupiter in the sign of Gemini, ruled by Mercury. We've also got Venus, of course, entering the sign of Virgo, ruled by Mercury. Mercury retrograde and Venus are going to be making a conjunction coming up here soon, and of course, we've also got the moon happens to be transiting the late degrees of Leo, entering Virgo, making a conjunction with Venus, making a conjunction with Mercury stationing retrograde. So this is really kind of the entire vibe today. Mercury stationing retrograde, everything that goes along with that, and the planets that are most specifically affected by that right now, which would be Gemini and Virgo planets. Of course, we've also got Mars and Jupiter building into a conjunction in Gemini, building into a square with Saturn in the sign of Pisces. I talked about that in our new moon video that we had come out yesterday. And we got lots of astrology going on to start our week this week, you guys. So that being said, let's get into our report of the day. Let's look at how all of this is playing itself out before us and what it might mean for us as we move through our week. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Monday, August 5th, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day where we are narrating the shift of the ages. And if you guys stick with me till the end of this report, I have done a collective tarot reading for us as well. I like to tap the energy field for more than one modality when I'm doing these energy overviews, just to get an alternative energetic perspective on what's going on out there. So there could be some messages in there for you. That's going to happen at the end. Let's start with the astrology. Buyer's remorse is a theme that I feel like might be coming through this week, applied to not only just like legitimate purchases, but maybe like other ways that we have overexpressed or overcommitted or overinvested ourselves in various areas maybe of our lives over this past couple weeks or throughout the course of the, I don't know, I'd say, yeah, this past couple weeks or so, as Mars and Jupiter have been building into their conjunction in the sign of Gemini. There has been an energy, if you've noticed, that has been very sort of like frenzied and driven, and a lot of like fervor and passion to do something, to say something, to act, to make something happen, to move something forward. That has been the vibe. But I will tell you guys, as I sort of mentioned in my intro, as of this week, I do feel like there's going to be kind of an abrupt pause or halt or something that is kind of like stopping us in our tracks, maybe in terms of whatever it is that we have felt driven to pursue or to move towards or to act on, or that has been motivating us or something like that. That is because, number one, you guys, we have Mercury stationing retrograde today. We're going to talk about all the varying dimensions of this energy and how it could be manifesting in our experience as we move through this particular Mercury retrograde in this report today. But in terms of specifically the Mars and Jupiter energy, which is this sort of like whipped up, very amplified energy that maybe has been motivating us to do something, you know, this very action-oriented energy going on. With these two planets being in the sign of Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, there could definitely be, on one hand, us questioning maybe some of the things that we've done, some of the actions that we've taken, some of the things that we've said, some of the things that we've thought, some of our behaviors that have gone on over this past period of time. And on the other hand, maybe needing to make some corrections, needing to reconsider some things, maybe needing to consider some different options or alternatives or perspectives. Ultimately, this energy is working to broaden our mind, but we're at the place right now in like the process of learning where we are going to probably need to fix some mistakes or make some corrections, learn some lessons that are refining us, okay, and making us more prepared for what it is that we're actually moving towards. So it's actually probably going to be a very productive period of growth in terms of cause and effect, actions and consequences, and the growth and the learning and the wisdom that results from the experience of those things, okay? But I do also feel like the things that happen in the month of August, I think, are going to lead directly into some endings, especially like relational endings or things that we have been committed or invested in for maybe a long period of time, kind of like end of era energy that is coming in the month of September. A lot of people are going to be shifting their lifestyles or just changing the way that they're spending their money or even their appearance and stuff, the way that they're coming off and projecting themselves into the world. It's going to be very, relationships in September are going to probably go through some major overhauls. There's going to be some really like coming to the end of the road in this connection or this relationship scenarios going on. And these are going to be most likely relationships that have been quite long term, that have been going on for a long period of time, and that have really defined this, that, or the other various nature of ourselves somehow, like that have defined like how we perceived ourselves or who we thought ourselves to be. And it's also going to be reflective of these personal changes and the changes to our own identities that are going on as well. But you know, when I'm first looking at this Mercury retrograde chart that we have going on today, opening our week this week, also the position of Venus leaving Leo, entering Virgo in such close proximity to Mercury. He's going to retrograde and come into the conjunction with Venus. We're going to have a Venus-Mercury retrograde conjunction in Virgo, and then Mercury will back into the sign of Leo. Like, it is bringing up this vibe of like buyer's remorse to me. Like I said, maybe a feeling also like during Leo season, we put ourselves out there too much or like overdid it a bit too much, or not even necessarily Leo season, because that just started literally with the new moon in Leo yesterday, but maybe over Cancer season, we maybe felt like we like went a little overboard or got a little overinflated. Maybe in terms of how we presented ourselves, what we said, what we did, what we spent our money on or something, what we, again, like committed ourselves to or invested ourselves in, could be like up for debate, I guess we could say, in our mind, in terms of maybe whether or not that was the best decision over this next couple of weeks. Mercury will station direct on August 28th. So we've got from August 5th to August 28th, where these like corrections and reconsiderations are like definitely underway, which, like I said, you know, then Mercury stations direct the very end of August, moving into September. We're going to actually have a Venus black moon south node conjunction in the sign of Libra, which is going to really like flush out relationships that are in any way like preventing us from essentially like being our best selves, or that are keeping us like attached to like a lower version of ourselves, or that are blocking our growth or blocking our progress or blocking our path right now, that is like bringing us back to a place of self-empowerment and like in alignment with our creative purpose and like higher potential and all of that we talk about all the time, this path to self-actualization. This month of August, I feel like, is setting us up or setting the stage or putting things in place or sparking a series of events that plays out that somehow leads to major relationship changes that are coming up here. And financial also, what we're invested and committed in. Also in terms of just like what we're finding pleasure in, what we're indulging in, how we want to spend our money, what we value, all of that type of stuff coming up here. Okay, in the month of September. And it's interesting also because we've got this strong Leo energy. Like Leo, this is how we play, right? This is what we enjoy. This is what we indulge in. It also has to do with romance, okay? And with, it's like with Venus leaving Leo, heading the conjunction to Mercury retrograde, and then he backs into Leo. I think that the themes generally might have a lot to do with, of course, the creativity dynamic of the Leo energy, the romantic dynamic of the Leo energy, relationships generally when we're talking about Venus, but also what makes us happy, what gives us joy, what like truly makes us feel alive, and then the things to do with money and finances that we spend in order to have and experience that, and also, of course, what we're invested in and committed to. Extreme reconsiderations going on in the context of what it is that we have, what it is that we've created for ourselves, and is it really worth it? Is it really making me happy? Is it really giving me joy? Is it really making me feel alive? And if it's not, is it something that I really, at this point in my life, want to continue to identify with, or want to continue to support, or want to continue to be attached to, or want to continue to be invested in? That type of stuff I feel like is going to be coming up for people like in mass. Okay, this energy also, because we're talking about like the Venus Leo, that can be kind of like a superficial expression of the Venusian energy, and can be very much about like the show and the drama and the appearance and like the fancy glitter and sparkle and all of that, and the presentation of things generally. And with Mercury retrograding, making the conjunction to Venus, going back into Leo, I think that people, you know, this is taking a second look, like kind of like from a different angle, maybe deeper than these surface level images that are presented to us, or something to do with, you know, the presentation that's been put on, maybe reconsidering it from a different angle with different information or different context coming up somehow. I think there's also going to be this heightened tendency to kind of like criticize the flaws also, with Mercury having station retrograde in Virgo, like seeing all the flaws, like seeing the details, seeing where, you know, all the little errors and stuff like that, them just being like much more apparent in terms of the surface appearance of things. And I think that that's going to kind of like crack through some facades as well, like give us an ability to like not necessarily be maybe as like mesmerized by like the glitz and the glamour of it all when we have Mercury retrograding through Virgo, and we're like more so looking at the script, you know what I mean, and like the details of how like things are put together and stuff like that. We're being able to see things from a different angle that might not necessarily be as apparent. And I think, you know, the Virgo energy can be quite critical and quite nitpicky, and just like the emphasis on the errors that are present and stuff like that. So I think that we may really be seeing where things are not necessarily as they appear, okay, in this energy. And again, another thing that may really be making us reevaluate friendships or relationships like crazy as we move through the rest of the summer and into the fall, because we got to realize what's happening. I've been talking about for a while how I feel like the fundamental kind of recalibration of energy, collective energy at this time, is centralized along actually the Venusian themes, because we've got Uranus right now in the sign of Taurus, ruled by Venus, and then we've got the South Node transiting the sign of Libra, which is also ruled by Venus. So we've got like the cosmic recalibrator, Uranus, in one of Venus's signs, and then we've got the sign of like fated endings and release and transcendence and letting go and moving on and, you know, evolving out of karma in Venus's other sign. So endings and like redirection, endings and sudden change for the purpose of like realigning things properly in both of the signs ruled by Venus, indicating, you know, the feminine energy ultimately. And I've been talking a lot about also how I feel like there has been a generalized distortion in feminine energy, which has been contributing to a simultaneous distortion in masculine energy that has essentially been like inverting and debilitating organic and authentic processes of growth right now, and for quite a long period of time. That is being rectified actually as we move through this particular window of time, that is unleashing and propelling us forward into this new Aquarian energy, helping us to get back on track of this process of authentic growth that will develop over the next 2,000 years, that will actually lead us over the course of the next 10,000 years back into a new golden age cycle for, you know, our Earth and humanity in the greater, grander cosmic vision of things as they seem to be unfolding right now. And a lot of the stuff that is going on right now is functioning as you know, playing its like own particular role, like activating like its own little piece of the puzzle, like its own light code, and contributing to that overall release from the distortion that has been held over from the age of Pisces as we evolve essentially and are liberated to move forward into the age of Aquarius. And I feel like that's being reflected in a lot of the Saturn, Pisces, Neptune, Pisces retrograding energy that we have going on right now, and also what Pluto is doing as he is about to be entering the sign of Aquarius and taking us through a 20-year Aquarius and Pluto and Aquarius transit. And we talk about that stuff regularly, but the reason that I'm bringing it up right now is because we're talking about Venus, we're talking about Taurus, we're talking about Libra. We've got Uranus, that is energy that is propelling us forward into that new Aquarian energy happening in Taurus, Venus's sign, and the South Node ruling those karmic endings, ruling release from the past, happening in the sign of Libra. This, and then as we move forward into September, like I said, there will be a black moon Venus, South Node, exact alignment simultaneously in the sign of Libra. That right there, Venus and the Black Moon together with the South Node, that is going to be an activation that does just that and helps to flush and remove some of the distortion in the feminine energy that has been blocking growth, essentially authentic growth, holding us back, as I've been saying, you know, as we've been making our way out of this Pisces energy. So that's a really interesting point in time that we are moving towards. And this energy that is coming in this month with this Mercury retrograde going to come into the conjunction with Venus as he prepares to back into the sign of Leo. I do feel like this is setting the stage. As I said, like these are the causes that are going to lead to the effects of whatever happens in September with that alignment and with that karmic release and with these karmic endings and these real identity shifts and relationship shifts and value preference shifts that come along with it. Okay, so really reevaluating friendships and relationships, this Mercury retrograde cycle, there is new context also, or new information regarding past people in relationship dynamics. Of course, Mercury retrograde always brings people from the past back around. Sometimes it can bring up sort of like loose ends and unfinished business, just like blast from the past type of energy coming back with Venus there. That's also relationships. That's also like financial things and investments. And with this particular configuration of things, I do think people are going to be really rethinking, you know, what we've committed ourselves to, what we've invested in, especially in the context of other people. Also, what we find value in, what we find to be valuable, and what we want to spend our money on, how we want to use our money, and who we want to use it with going forward as well. And a lot of people, as I've said, are going to be fading out of each other's lives in some capacity, going their separate ways come September. It will be the end of an era, I do think, in terms of what we're spending our money on, like I said, what we're doing for fun and who we're doing it with. Just the relationship dynamics and the way that we find pleasure in the context of that, friendship groups, even things to do with like vacations or luxuries, indulgences, shopping, style, fashion, like the type of like art and music and beauty that we're drawn to as well, all of the aesthetic qualities of the Venus energy, all of the sensory qualities of the Venus energy. There just could be some big preference changes that are coming with this. This Mercury retrograde will function as a cause to the effect that we will see play out in September. Mercury retrograde will bring closure and endings in relationships based on all the things, right? Shifting values, desires, ideas, investments, information, perspective, and what we really want to do. Again, this Leo energy also, like what we find enjoyable now, what makes us feel alive. People also with the strong Venus energy, like I said, are going to be changing their physical appearance and their image as a byproduct of these more internalized changes that are going on and how they're relating to themselves and how they're relating to the world around them and how they want to be relating to others. Also, how they are expressing themselves. There's probably going to be some big changes in like the way that people are relating to their own sense of personal self-expression going forward here with Mercury backing back into the sign of Leo, all about personal self-expression, making alterations to their physical presentation as well that reflect this new relationship to self, this new sense of self-expression, or this new mental space that they are coming to now. Changes and what we are reconsidering won't just apply to these values, ideas, and desires though. People are also, because of the fact that we also have Mars and Jupiter in another one of Mercury's signs, which I was talking about earlier, people are going to start changing their behavior. Mars is our energy, Mars is our motivation, it's what drives us, our behavior, and it's our actions. With Mercury retrograde with Mars in Gemini, which is the sign ruled by Mercury, people are going to start changing their actual behavior, how they are like actually acting, reconsidering choices, motives, and past actions. I do think that like you may actually see some people like really fundamentally change in ways that you maybe never thought possible or never imagined as we move through this particular Mercury retrograde and again into the month of September. This Mercury retrograde also is going to slow things down. Mars and Jupiter in the sign of Gemini, this is very fast paced. Gemini and Mercury, this is already a very fast paced energy. When we talk about Mars there, this is even faster. It's this driven energy. And then when we add Jupiter, this is expanding that energy and that speed. But when we take Mercury and we station him in the sky and we put him in retrograde, this is going to scramble things, okay? It's probably going to confuse things, disorient things. It's like all of a sudden kind of like slamming on brakes. Delays are very likely, and we're going to be rethinking a lot of what perhaps we've gotten involved in, or even like who maybe we've become, really questioning ourselves and if we want to continue to act and to think and to behave and to make the choices maybe that we have found ourselves existing in and within over this past couple of weeks or past couple of years or whatever. I do think, you know, because the Mercury retrograde in Virgo and just really generally everything else that we've got going on out there, especially the Jupiter Saturn square with Mars coming in right now, mistakes and corrections, I feel like, are going to be major themes of this Mercury retrograde. They always are, but even more so elevated. And this is probably going to be a very powerful Mercury retrograde. If you don't normally notice the effects of Mercury retrograde, you may this time. And I'm saying that because, as I said, the moon is in a conjunction with Mercury as he stations retrograde, letting us know that, you know, this Mercury retrograde process is going to be quite potent. Okay, the moon is like a trigger for energy, and when the moon is making conjunction to planets as they're making aspects, it amplifies the energy of whatever's going on. So with the moon in a conjunction to both Venus and Mercury, as Mercury stations retrograde in the sign of Virgo, this is going to be a very potent Mercury retrograde, again, probably for shifting preferences, shifting desires, changing what it is that we really want and how we're thinking about stuff, and then therefore how we're moving, how we're acting, and what we're motivated and driven by as the ultimate byproduct and outcome of that, which is going to translate into changes that I'm telling you guys are coming up in the month of September. Errors and judgment and lessons learned is probably going to be another big theme of this Mercury retrograde energy. It is holding us back. It is slowing us down. We do have, I mean, Mercury retrograde, now we're backtracking, right? But we also have the square coming in between the Gemini planets, also ruled by Mercury, and Saturn, which holds, it's about control. It's about limitation. It's about restraint. So it may feel, and I was talking about this in my new moon video, don't allow yourself to get super discouraged over this next couple of weeks. If it feels like you are just taking one step forward and two steps backwards, or even two steps forward and one step backwards, as we, you know, move through this Mercury retrograde process, it's honestly like just kind of the way that things are playing out right now. This time period is not favoring like fast and exponential growth. It's favoring very like controlled, like restrained, but like perfect and masterful growth. You know what I mean? Like this energy is trying to get us to go very slow and be very cautious in the foundations that we are laying and the way that we are using our energy right now, and to truly build something like enduring and masterful that can really support us in a very foundational and like longevity type of way moving forward into the future, as we literally are laying the foundations for this new incoming age and paradigm right now as we transition into the age of Aquarius. So this is very careful work that we have going on right now, and that's what's being reflected in the way that things are working out for us cosmically. However, there's also this massive like internal drive to get ahead and to move forward and to progress and to excel and to expand, as we are also being very compulsively like pulled towards this incoming age and needing to get this transition underway and like this awakening and like these like a lot of things and energy like awakening and stirring within us and motivating us, driving us forward. And so it really could feel like we're like coming up against a wall. Like we thought we knew what we were doing and we thought we know what direction we were going and we were very sure about this, but all of a sudden like bam, like oh man, like I don't know, like I didn't see that, like that came out of left field, like what's going on? Who's actually even in charge? What's really even going on? Can I really do this? Like am I just crazy? That is something that, you know, we could be, a lot of questions are likely to be coming up, but it really is again ultimately so that when we can get through this period of time, we are more sure and we have a clearer view and we have a more like direct and broad and full understanding of what is truly required in order to really move forward successfully in terms of whatever it is that we are like driven to pursue, or that we're growing into, or that we're building, and whatever we're moving towards, like whatever this new phase that is pulling us in right now wants from us. We're actually being set up to be more successful at that, but it's probably going to be like a quite like push and pull type of energy. Feeling like also we could really find ourselves feeling like maybe we've gotten too far ahead of ourselves in some way, and we need to be more careful, or we need to be more responsible. These lessons that are coming through, or we could just totally feel like there's these forces that are working against us, seemingly out of our control, limiting, restraining, controlling, or holding back our growth, or this process that is underway right now, making us feel like nothing is happening. And again, it could be quite discouraging, but we really just need to surrender to, you know, whatever delays that may be coming up, and do our best, if that's the case, to like distract ourselves, focus on something else, focus on, again, like I said, this period of time actually I do think is about making us a more masterful version of ourselves, better able to move forward with self-discipline to successfully do whatever it is that we like desire to pursue or create right now. So we just kind of need to keep that in mind. And again, like self-improvement, self-development, you know, working on ourselves, learning new things, expanding our mind, doing what we can to better prepare ourselves for who it is and what it is that we want to become. This is where we should focus if we feel like everything is just working against us and we can't make any actual progress right now. Again, like this whole month could be kind of disorienting and confusing. It is testing our faith. We have a square going on between Saturn and Jupiter that is notorious test of faith energy, testing our faith, testing our courage, our resilience, our ability to persevere, maybe when things are not going as we feel like they should, maybe when our efforts are not paying off, like are we just gonna quit, or are we gonna keep at it even if there's not necessarily any type of reward for like whatever we're putting into something right now. Obviously, as I've mentioned, all the traditional complications and issues that generally present with Mercury retrograde are likely to be very present right now as well, probably more powerful, potent than normal. And I would expect, honestly, also major issues with travel, especially air travel, to be going on this month. Itineraries, schedules, communication issues, like nobody can get on the same page, nobody can get it together, a lot of delays. And also another big theme that we could see could be perhaps like issues with false reporting, or like retractions of major media or news stories that need to go on, or like reporting that had been published incorrectly that is like kind of a big deal somehow. Stuff also with financial markets and corrections, or financial data and corrections being reported there as well. And again, lots and lots of people reconsidering what they've done, what they've said, learning lessons from it, and actually shifting the choices and decisions and behaviors that they exhibit and display moving forward. Changing minds, attitudes, preferences, desires, motivations, and behaviors are definitely represented in terms of how this energy is likely to function. Could be also a very like divisive and polarized time right now. It's going to lead people to be walking away from things. Again, that's what we're going to see in September, I do think. Definitely though, a battle is going to be going on below the surface to break through from this condition, to break through from the past, essentially. There is like this karmic battle underway. It's spoken of with the Jupiter-Saturn square that really defines a lot of this month, and actually kind of from now until next spring in a lot of ways as well, which we'll be talking about as time unfolds. But also the pending Venus, Black Moon, South Node conjunction, like that's also bringing up a release from karmic like connections and relationships and the ways that we have behaved and imaged ourselves as a result of those. But there's this battle going on, right? These conditioned beliefs that have really dictated our view of reality and the way that we have operated in the frameworks of reality, breaking down right now. Things that have been blocking or distorting or stifling authentic growth, coming as a result of, I feel like, whatever this Mercury retrograde. And it's also Mercury's retrograding in Virgo, which is also the sign of the healer, right? And it also has to do with growth, and it also has to do with the harvest. So I do think that we're going to be overcoming or outgrowing a lot of what has defined us in the past, as we are redefining ourselves and realizing that we really can no longer relate to maybe the world or the friendship groups or, you know, what we built for ourselves in the past when we were coming at life from like a different dimensional experience of our own experience. And you know what I mean, if you know what I mean, if you know what I mean. Okay, so anyways, gaining as much wisdom, insight, and understanding and perspective and information as we possibly can. Mercury's going retrograde. This is not the greatest time for choices and decisions. Again, we are not trying to like charge ahead with this in any type of like brute force type of way. Things are falling into place. They're falling into place. There's also a lot of divine timing underway right now. I will say that. But, you know, be open to learning something new that changes your perspective and maybe like shifts what you thought about something or what you thought you wanted to do about something. Allow yourself to have that. That really is what this time is about. This is about breaking through mental conditioning. So, you know, maybe there's been something that you believed and that you thought was, you know, you were fixed on and like you thought that, you know, would be like one of your defining mental frameworks your entire life. And all of a sudden, you know, you're gaining another piece of information, and maybe instead of just like automatically shooting it down, you know, give it a chance and see and look. And, you know, this is a good time again for like looking kind of under the surface of things, like seeing underneath like the image or the presentation, getting a little bit deeper, checking all the sides and all the angles. It's all about options. It's all about opportunities. It's all about angles and perspective and context and additional information. A lot of people, like I said, are going to be very polarized. This is also like information wars energy and a battle of the narrative, especially in terms of the old story and the new story. The past and the future are also really coming to a head on an informational narrative type level as we move through the rest of the summer with the square between Jupiter and Saturn. Fact versus fiction, fantasy versus reality. It is going to be very, very, very hard to tell the difference, especially as Mercury is retrograding through the month of August. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows the truth. Nobody knows who's in charge. Nobody knows like really what's up and what's down and what's left and what's right and what's fantasy and what's fact and what's truth and what's illusion. This is a time of, again, seeing every perspective and allowing ourselves to process information without jumping into conclusions, without jumping into action, without flying forward, without making like a serious choice or a serious commitment. We actually kind of want to be pulling it back and reconsidering maybe what we've already invested in or connected to or committed in, and if that's what we want to continue to do. And definitely probably not the best time to get ourselves involved or committed in something else, because there's just so much information that is coming right now and is going to continue to come. And again, we are not going to have a real clear idea of the whole truth of things, I think, for a little while here. So again, a restrained growth also makes sense in that context. If you can't move forward right now, adapt, remove expectations. That's a big one right here that I feel like will save our mental health if we can kind of like remove the expectations of things happening according to a certain timeline or in a certain way right now, and just be as adaptive as possible while maintaining our focus on this process of self-growth, self-improvement, and expanding our mind. I feel like we're gonna probably be as supported as possible if we try to move through from that mental frame. Definitely removing the expectations, making ourselves better so that, you know, as time goes on, even if we can't make it happen now, by the time it does get here, we're more strong, confident and prepared for whatever it is that we're working towards or trying to make happen. Okay, so we are preparing for greatness and success that are promised, although that may just be a little bit delayed, caught in traffic right now. Okay, so also another interesting dynamic of this, how it's all coming together. Of course, I talked about the Venetian themes and the emphasis on the feminine energy, but literally, and also the position of Jupiter is playing into this as well. I'll tell you in a minute, but there could be some strong emphasis throughout the course of this month of women on stage, women making some type of dramatic statement, or women in places or positions of power having to answer questions, having to answer for something. I'm saying that, of course, because of the Venus-Mercury conjunction with the moon there also, while Mercury is preparing to retrograde back into into Leo. This is indicating that, especially like the prominence of the like powerful or notable feminine figure that we have going on in the questioning, but also the position of Jupiter right now. Jupiter is at 16 Gemini in Mercury's sign for Mercury's station. That Sabian symbol is a woman activist on a platform in an emotional speech, dramatizing her cause. So, you know, we got this Venus just leaving Virgo, Mercury conjuncting Venus, backing into Leo. This is like the dramatic, this is the drama, this is the expression, this is kind of like the over the top nature of things. We're talking about the feminine energy being present, the moon there, that's also feminine energy. And then we're talking about Jupiter literally specifically talking about the female activist on the stage in an emotional display. In an emotional speech, dramatizing her cause. So that's really like, that one symbol of Jupiter is like hitting all the themes. And again, Jupiter is in Mercury's sign. So that, you know, there's the connection right there. And Jupiter also expands things. So don't be surprised if there are prominent female voices that are acting in such ways as we move through, and that are also, again, being subject maybe to scrutiny or to questioning or to like finding errors or criticism in somehow as well, with the Mercury retrograde and Virgo dynamic of things. Also symbolically, and this is matching up with how energy is presenting, there is this growing sense of awareness, opportunity, and soul calling, which we know to move forward, to drive forward towards something or to become something new, and perhaps correlates to the birth of a more masterful version of ourselves, which is coming online right now. Also, listen to more symbolism that we have going on that is so much in alignment with those themes that the astrology itself is presenting. Number one, the position of the sun on Monday, a human soul seeking opportunity for outward manifestation. We have the position of Mars in a conjunction with Aldebaran. That's another thing that I wanted to say. This is very actually like, even though, you know, everything that I've said so far, and it is probably, you know, just kind of a bit of a challenging energy out there, Mars is an exact alignment, which only happens once every 2 years, with the Aldebaran degree, the Archangel Michael degree. There's also likely to be like a divine masculine influence out there. There's like a hero energy that is present right now as well. So don't be surprised if there's some type of like like archetypal emphasis on like the hero, the archetypal hero that is coming through right now, like people acting as a hero, or that being, and within the sign of Gemini, of course, also like news about like people acting or behaving in heroic ways, or people saving the day somehow. There's some type of like blessed or fortunate or lucky energy coming through according to the hero archetype that also could be presenting in terms of like prominent masculine figures that are doing something to like save the day somehow, or just, you know, somebody functioning through a divine masculine energy that is, I don't know, saving the day. So that's also a rare feature of what we have going on right now, and I wanted to mention that as well. But the position, that Sabian symbol is newly opened lands offer the pioneer new opportunities for experience. So there we've got two Sabian symbols, both the sun and Mars, talking about opportunities. One is a soul seeking opportunities for outward expression, and the other is newly opened land offering the pioneer new opportunities for experience. With the North Node right now in the sign of Aries as well, this is, I've been calling it since last summer, our personal leadership era. It is like a time where we are being the pioneers essentially of this new reality as we bridge forth into the more dominant Aquarian frequencies that are coming in as Pluto enters the sign of Aquarius for a 20-year Aquarius transit in correlation to the North Node transiting Aries, pulling us all into our personal pioneer mode. Okay, so I find that interesting, and it is leading to this expanded time of opportunities with Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. That is expanded opportunities, so nicely designed symbolically there. Mercury, the degree where he's stationing, that's 5 Virgo, a man becoming aware of nature spirits and normally unseen spiritual energies. So that is this dawning awareness that shifts our perspective and maybe changes the way that we are dealing with our reality, interfacing with things, choices and decisions, whatever. because we are gaining this new context of interpretation that is like literally paradigm changing. Okay. And then like I said, we've got Jupiter 16 Gemini, a woman activist on a platform in an emotional speech dramatizing her cause. And finally, the last one I want to talk about is Saturn, actually at 19 Pisces. That Sabian symbol is a master instructing his disciple. So when we've got Saturn giving this symbolism, is, you know, harsh of a teacher as Saturn is, we have to know this is about the path to self-mastery and building something that stands the test of time and that is truly worth it and is truly valuable in the end. This is like generational wealth, or this is like new legacies and stuff. This is not just like, you know, a 5-10 year plan that we've got going on here. So we've got to do it slow, we've got to do it restrained, we've got to do it right. And apparently, in order for that to happen, everything kind of needs to come to a halt right now, so there can be reconfigurations and stuff that go on. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. That's what I feel like astrology is looking like for us as we move through our new moon and Leo cycle, really, as we kick off this new moon and Leo cycle and head towards the full moon in Aquarius, which is also going to be a very powerful full moon that we've got coming up in this next couple of weeks. So let's get into our tarot message now. I feel it's a very, like, to me, it's very simple the way that these cards came out today in terms of like what they're expressing. Like, it is more of like this surface value answer, okay, to like whatever's going on out there right now. Like, it's literally talking about, on the back of the deck, we've got we've got 3 2s and the 8 of Wands in reverse. We've got the 2 of Swords in reverse. We've got the 2 of Pentacles. We have the 8 of Wands in reverse, and then we've got the 2 of Wands. And we've got these 3 cards of 2 like choices, decisions. This is totally bringing up like the Mercury and Gemini theme. And I mean, the card that was directly on the back was the 2 of Swords in reverse. This is like not knowing what to do, not having a clear answer. Like, maybe we thought we knew what to do, but now like everything's upside down. We're going back and forth. We're not seeing things clearly. We don't really have a good sense of how to move forward or what we're going to do next. But the rest of the cards are being pretty clear about it. We literally have the 7 of Cups, confusion, disorientation, not knowing what to do, too many choices, too many options, too many decisions, not being able to like make a judgment call or predict like necessarily the way that things are going to play out. We've then got the Hermit though. So what do we need to do? We need to not necessarily choose one of the options right now. What we need to do is maybe go into hermit mode. Maybe we need to be more self-analytical, self-reflective. Maybe we need to, you know, shut ourselves in for a little bit of a processing period before we just like randomly choose one of the various options floating in the sky, you know what I mean? And then we've also got the Strength card, and we've got the Page of Swords as well. The Page of Swords can be about also like seeking out new information, seeking out new perspectives, allowing ourselves to learn new things also when we're talking about the page. This is kind of like, and this is the Leo energy coming through as well. Something about the inner child, like maybe we need to reconnect with something, to some layer or level of our inner child in order to figure out what it really is that we want, what it really is that gives us joy. Again, like these same themes that I was talking about. We've got literally the Strength card here, which is, to me, it's got a lion on it. Like, it has a lot to do with the Leo energy. Like, not necessarily choosing right now, but maybe using this period of time to get in better touch with ourselves. What really like lights us up inside, as I was saying earlier, like what makes us feel alive, what brings us joy, what is truly valuable to us. And maybe again, like going back to things having to do with like our inner child, or what we used to enjoy, or what we used to be really passionate about, or what used to really make us feel alive. Or maybe also Page of Swords can be like learning new skills, or learning, like developing our talents and stuff like that, like a hobby or something. So again, this energy is telling us, like, if you feel blocked, if you feel like you can't move forward, if things are working against you, if you can't make a choice, if you can't make a decision, perhaps what you need to do is like change your focus distract yourself. We were talking about a time right now, I was talking about this I think in my new moon video, where literally like Gemini with Mars and Jupiter, that's like unrestrained distractions and things like interfering with our ability to focus. And if we can't focus because something is literally blocking our ability to work towards the successful implementation or development of anything, maybe finding a distraction or finding a hobby or just doing something to occupy our mind that in a way that helps us expand or grow or in some way better prepares us for that which we're trying to pursue and move towards, like maybe that is the better option right now. But again, this like hermit energy, like bringing it inside, seeking the inner guidance, seeking the inner illumination, getting right with ourselves and like our heart, what it is that really truly like on those deeper fundamental levels makes us feel alive and what we really value, what we find actually worthy, and then maybe gaining new information, learning something new, or just doing something to prepare ourselves for what we want to eventually choose or decide, but maybe we just for whatever reason can't right now. So that's how I feel like the tarot message is coming together for us today. We're going to get one more card, you guys. God, Spirit, Universe. We need a synchronicity card. We need a piece of advice or guidance to carry us through the introduction of our week this week. What should we keep in mind in the context of this other energy that's coming through and what we're moving towards? We've got one. Yes, and how appropriate. It says God's the boss, which is, you know, kind of something that we've been talking about here. Like there is just maybe a higher power right now that feels like it is not going along with our personal plans, but God's the boss and we just need tests of our faith, right? As I was saying earlier. Who then is that faithful and wise steward? Luke 12:42. You must do your job joyously and faithfully in the knowledge that God is your boss. Your subconscious will then respond and promote you and remove obstacles to your success. Have a constructive vision. Be faithful to your vision. Show respect for authority and you will be prospered along all lines. I feel like this card was perfectly written for this particular Mercury retrograde period in this particular August 2024. So I really feel like this is a real powerful card in the context of the energy that we're moving through, and we should all heed this advice as we move through this time. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. A message from the stars, a message from the cards. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the message. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think that they would also be interested in this type of astrology content. Leave me comments, you guys. I'm truly grateful for your presence here. If you guys are having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. Truly valuable information to me. I love you guys so much. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I have a link in my description box below where you can find those pictures there. I post them in a Facebook group, so that's in my description box. And come back with me on Wednesday, you guys. We are going to be getting right back into more of this week's astrology. We're moving through this Mercury retrograde energy and we're going to have a lot more to talk about, and I will be here to talk about it, so you should be here too. You don't want to miss it, you guys. I will see you on Wednesday. Have a very beautiful start to your week. And until then, bye guys.